Nana Hassan was born into wealth. Not the loud kind, not the desperate for attention kind, the kind of wealth that does not announce itself. Her parents owned properties people lived in without ever knowing who the real owners were. Buildings that generated money even while everyone slept. From childhood, Nana was taught one thing: observe first, speak last. When her parents passed away, Nana inherited everything: estates, businesses, accounts with numbers that did not scare her. But more than money, she inherited restraint. She didn't boast, she didn't intimidate, she didn't need validation. And unfortunately, that made people comfortable disrespecting her. A business trip brought Nana to Lagos. Abuja to Lagos. Meetings, expansion, nothing emotional. Her driver picked her up late at night. They drove toward Ikoyi. Then the car slowed. Once, twice, and stopped. Ignition refused. Dark road, uncomfortable silence. That's when a young man approached. Not confident, not impressive, just desperate. He tried something under the hood. The engine started. Relief filled the air. Nana smiled. She thanked him, asked his name. Khaled. She handed him her business card. And with that simple act of kindness, she unknowingly signed the first page of her own betrayal. Khaled called her, not immediately. At first he waited. 2 days passed, then 3. When he finally dialed the number on that card, his voice was careful, soft, almost humble. He thanked her again for that night, for the help, for the kindness. Nana listened. She always listened. He spoke about struggle, about Lagos being hard, about how one mistake that ruined everything. And Nana helped, quietly. No announcements, no lectures. She revised his CV, made a few calls, pulled a few strings that didn't feel heavy to her, but would later change his entire identity. Within weeks, Khaled had a job he never thought he could get, a salary that felt unreal, stability he had never known, and something dangerous began to form inside him. Not gratitude, expectation. At first, Khaled was careful around Nana. He sat properly, spoke respectfully, never interrupted. He admired her calm, her restraint, the way she never tried to impress. But over time, something shifted. He started arriving unannounced, calling late, talking longer, not asking, assuming. Nana noticed. She always noticed. But she said nothing. Khaled began to enjoy the access, not to Nana first, but to what she represented: comfort, connections, a door that opened without struggle. He started dressing better, walking differently, talking with confidence he hadn't earned. And slowly, his respect began to thin. He interrupted Nana now, corrected her casually, smiled less when she spoke. Still subtle, still deniable, but real. When Khaled spoke about love, it wasn't poetic, it was practical. He spoke about partnership, about stability, about how Nana made him feel safe. And Nana, who had lived her whole life without needing rescue, mistook his need for devotion. They married quietly. No celebration, no witnesses beyond a few names on paper. And the moment Khaled signed that certificate, something changed. Not in Nana, in him. Access became ownership in his mind. He started asking questions he never asked before. How much do you really make? Why don't you talk about your business? Why are you always so calm? Nana smiled and answered nothing. She made him co-signatory, not because she had to, but because she trusted. And trust in the hands of the unprepared becomes a weapon. The first time Khalid's card worked, he bought something expensive. He didn't ask permission. He didn't even inform her. He just smiled, and something inside him clicked. Power entered his bloodstream. Slowly, silently, he started speaking louder around Nana, correcting her in public, making jokes at her expense, then calling them harmless. If Nana flinched, he didn't notice. If she went quiet, he enjoyed it. Because to Khaled, silence meant submission. And this is where the mistake was made. Khaled believed Nana's calm meant ignorance. He believed her softness meant weakness. He believed access meant entitlement. He believed the life he was living was proof of his own greatness. He forgot the road, forgot the broken car, forgot the period she used her connections for him without asking for anything in return. And Nana watched him forget, without reminding him, because Nana had learned long ago, people reveal who they really are when they think they are safe. And Khaled had never been more comfortable. They didn't arrive all at once. First, it was Khaled's mother. She came with a small suitcase and a very large sense of entitlement. The house she walked into was not modest. It was staffed. Domestic workers moved quietly through wide hallways. A personal assistant coordinated Nana's schedule. Everything ran with precision. And yet, Khaled's mother walked in as if all of it had always been hers. She looked around, not in awe, in assessment, and said, "So, this is where my son stays now. Not you and my son, not your home, my son." Nana noticed. She always noticed. Within weeks, the sisters followed. Loud, confident, immediately comfortable. They spoke to the staff like supervisors, corrected housekeepers, issued instructions without authority. They criticized the furniture. "This sofa is too soft." They complained about the food prepared by professional chefs. They spoke as if Nana wasn't seated right there. And Khaled, he smiled, pride shining in his eyes, because to him, this was proof that he had arrived. The family adjusted too quickly. They ordered things, they hosted friends, they made decisions, as if the house had transferred ownership. They never asked who paid the salaries, never asked whose name was on the documents. They assumed, and assumption is the root of arrogance. Khaled's mother watched Nana carefully. She didn't like Nana's calm, didn't like her composure, didn't like that Nana never competed for attention. One afternoon, while staff moved quietly in the background, she said, "You are too quiet for a married woman." Nana smiled politely, sipped her tea, said nothing, and that silence was interpreted as fear. The sisters became bolder. They mocked Nana's simplicity. "Why does she dress like this?" They whispered loudly. "She doesn't even look like the owner of anything." They laughed. They spoke as if wealth was noise and dignity was invisible. Then they crossed the line. Not accidentally, deliberately. They spoke openly about children, about Nana's body, about her worth. They called her barren. Not angrily, casually, like it was already decided. They said it while being driven by her drivers, while being served by her staff, while enjoying comfort she funded. And Khaled? He sat comfortably beside them, silent, complicit. That silence marked a shift. Nana stopped seeing him as her partner. She began seeing him as someone who had chosen applause over loyalty. The mother became commanding. She began issuing instructions to Nana's staff. Once, she told a housekeeper, "Tell her to come here." The housekeeper hesitated because they all knew whose names signed their contracts. Nana raised her hand gently. Let it pass. But she didn't forget. The sisters laughed openly now. They dismissed Nana's opinions, spoke over her in meetings she funded. And Khaled, he allowed it, because for the first time in his life, he was important to people who once ignored him. Nana never raised her voice, never corrected anyone. She maintained grace, but internally something hardened. Not anger, calculation. She began watching differently, listening for patterns, noting behaviors, measuring disrespect. The family believed Nana was weak. They believed silence meant submission. They believed the wealth was permanent. They believed the house belonged to Khaled. They believed wrong. Because Nana was not enduring. She was observing. And people are most vulnerable when they think they are untouchable. Khaled's family stopped behaving like guests. They behaved like executives. They held conversations in Nana's living room as if it were a boardroom, making plans, issuing opinions, deciding futures that were not theirs. They spoke to Nana's personal assistant as if she worked for them. They summoned drivers, changed schedules, cancelled appointments. Once, Khalid's mother told Nana's PA, "Move her meeting, family comes first." The PA froze because she knew whose signature controlled her employment. Nana raised her hand gently, allowed it. That quiet permission emboldened them. The sisters evolved into something worse. They began spending aggressively. Luxury malls, private boutiques, personal shoppers. They walked into stores with confidence sharpened by ignorance. They selected bags without checking prices, shoes without hesitation, jewelry without restraint. They didn't ask if they could, they assumed. And the first time it happened, the card declined softly, not dramatically, just a quiet beep. The sales associate paused, smiled politely, tried again, declined. One sister laughed nervously. Try again. Another card, declined. Silence entered the boutique, heavy, unforgiving. The associate looked up, professional, calm. "I'm sorry, ma'am, the payment didn't go through." Faces stiffened, phones came out, calls were made. Khalid didn't answer. They left the store pretending it was a network issue, but something had shifted. They told Nana later, not asking, accusing. "Your bank embarrassed us today." Nana looked up from her laptop, calm, measured, and said, "I wasn't aware you were shopping." That was it. No apology, no explanation, just silence. And that silence terrified them because for the first time, they felt uncertainty. But entitlement doesn't retreat easily. It escalates. The next humiliation was louder. A weekend shopping spree. Different mall, more confidence, more arrogance. They selected items, walked to the counter, cards out, declined, again. This time, people were watching. Whispers, side glances. The cashier cleared her throat. "I'm sorry, ma'am, none of the cards are working." The sisters panicked. They laughed loudly. Network. They walked out empty-handed, heads high, but backs stiff. At home, they exploded. They accused Nana, blamed her, suggested sabotage. Khalid said nothing because he had noticed something too. His own card had stopped working, quietly, without warning. In meetings, something else began happening. Staff stopped taking instructions from Khalid's family. Drivers asked for confirmation from Nana. The PA defied everything back to Nana. Contracts Khalid expected to sign never reached his desk. And Nana, she said nothing. She watched. Then came the corporate humiliation. Khalid attended a meeting Nana used to fund. He walked in confidently, sat at the table, spoke, and was gently corrected. "Sir, you are not authorized to approve this." The room went silent. Khalid smiled awkwardly, laughed it off, but inside, panic stirred. The family's behavior grew uglier now. They mocked Nana openly, accused her of manipulation, questioned her value. The word barren returned, this time with bitterness. They said, "What use is all this money if you can't even secure your marriage?" They said it loudly, in front of staff, in front of drivers, in front of people who knew the truth, but were paid to remain silent. And Nana remained impeccable, calm, corporate. She attended meetings in tailored outfits, signed documents effortlessly, moved through her life untouched. She didn't flinch, she didn't explain, she didn't warn. Then came the public disgrace, a family event, guests, extended relatives. Khalid's mother boasted loudly about houses, cars, connections. Someone asked, "So, Khalid, how's business?" Khalid opened his mouth and realized he didn't know what to say because everything he once controlled had quietly returned to its owner. That night, Khalid confronted Nana, accusatory, defensive, panicked. She listened, then said calmly, "I haven't taken anything from you." Pause. "I've only taken back what was mine." The family didn't sleep that night because for the first, Khalid did not become reckless overnight. He became careless because nothing had happened yet. In his mind, power was permanent.
Access was ownership, and Nana's silence meant surrender. He didn't know silence was the stage before execution. Khaled started coming home late, not apologetically, not nervously, but confidently. He stopped explaining his movements, stopped answering calls, started placing his phone face down on tables, and when Nana asked simple questions, neutral questions, he reacted defensively. "Why are you interrogating me? Don't you trust me?" He spoke as if trust was still intact. The cheating didn't begin secretly. It began boldly. Private lounges, hotels with valet parking, places where people watched and recognized him. He enjoyed being seen, enjoyed the illusion of importance. He introduced himself as a businessman, an investor, a man with influence. He never mentioned Nana because he believed she was background now. What Khaled didn't know was that Nana had already changed the way she watched him. Not emotionally, professionally. She didn't follow him. She tracked systems, GPS logs, access records, hotel invoices, timestamps, everything that mattered. Khalid's sisters noticed his confidence grow. They encouraged it. They praised him. They joked about Nana. She's too quiet. She doesn't even know what's going on. They laughed. And Khaled laughed with them. Because ridicule feels powerful when you think the other person is powerless. Then came the woman. Not just any woman. A loud one. Public. She tagged locations, posted gifts, uploaded stories. She wanted to be seen. And Khaled allowed it. Because men like Khaled don't cheat for love. They cheat for validation. Nana saw everything. The hotel mirrors, the dinner tables, the gifts purchased with cards that weren't his. She didn't confront him. She didn't cry. She documented. And every document moved her closer to finality. Khaled grew bolder at home. He spoke sharply now, corrected Nana in front of staff. Once he said, "You act like you're the only one with money here." The PA looked up. The staff froze. Nana didn't respond. She wrote that sentence down later. At work, the humiliation deepened. Khaled arrived at a meeting uninvited, confident, ready to speak. He was politely asked to wait outside. "Sir, this meeting is not on your schedule." He laughed, tried to assert authority, and was quietly ignored. For the first time, people didn't pretend. That night, Khaled exploded. He accused Nana of embarrassing him, of
Why are you
undermining him,
embarrassing
of
me?
being
You are
jealous.
undermining me
Jealous.
just because of your
The word
stupid
hung in
jealousy.
the air. Nana looked at him, really looked. And in that moment, she no longer recognized the man she married. She recognized a liability. The family made it worse. They blamed Nana openly, said she was sabotaging Khaled, said she was punishing him for not being enough. They used the word barren again, with bitterness this time, because bitterness always appears when entitlement starts losing ground. And Nana? Nana began the final phase. She stopped attending family events, stopped being present emotionally, stopped engaging. Her lawyers became active. Her auditors finished their work. Her private investigators delivered reports. Everything was ready. Khaled noticed the shift too late. The distance, the calm, the finality in her movements. He mistook it for sulking. He did not understand that Nana had already exited the marriage mentally. And when a woman leaves mentally, the body is just paperwork. Khaled thought he was untouchable. He thought love meant immunity. He thought access meant control. But elite women don't argue. They audit. And once the audit is complete, the shutdown is permanent.
It didn't happen with shouting. There was no announcement, no warning, no dramatic confrontation. That's what terrified them later. Because when it happened quietly. It started with a card. Khaled was alone. Early morning, hotel lobby. He ordered breakfast. Nothing extravagant, just confidence. The card declined. He frowned. Tried again. Declined. He laughed awkwardly. Network. The attendant smiled politely. "Sir, it's not going through." Something tightened in his chest. At the same time, across the city, his sisters were shopping. Different mall, different store. Same confidence. They had filled baskets. They didn't check prices. Why would they? They reached the counter, cards out, declined. Another card, declined. Another, declined. This time, there was no polite silence. People were watching. The cashier cleared her throat. "I'm sorry, ma'am, none of the cards are active." One sister snapped. "What do you mean active?" The cashier repeated herself, calm, professional, final. They left the store empty-handed, angry, humiliated. At home, the staff noticed something else. Suppliers began calling, invoices unpaid, services paused. The electricity didn't go off, but it almost did. The kind of warning that whispers, something has changed. Khalid's mother felt it before anyone else, not logically, instinctively. She tried to make a transfer, failed. She called the bank. They called her politely. "Ma'am, you're not authorized on this account." Her voice rose. "I've always used this account." The reply was calm. "Not anymore." Panic entered the house. Phones rang. Voices overlapped. Accusations started. Khalid was called. He didn't answer because his own phone was lighting up with alerts. Access revoked. Permissions removed. Signatories updated. Everything legal. Everything clean. Everything final. He drove home fast. Too fast. Stormed inside. Demanded answers. Nana was seated calmly in the living room, laptop open, PA beside her, staff moving quietly in the background. The house felt different, organized, controlled, as if it had always been waiting for this moment.
What did you do?
Khalid demanded.
Nothing special. I
Nana
just
looked up,
reorganized my
not
assets.
surprised, not angry, just calm. She said, "I reorganized my assets." Pause. Professionally. The family erupted. Accusations, shouting, insults. They called her wicked, manipulative, bitter. They said she was punishing Khalid. They said she was jealous. They said, "You think money makes you powerful." Nana listened. Let them finish, then spoke softly. "I never thought money made me powerful." Pause. "I thought access did." Silence fell. Not because they understood, but because something deeper had hit them. Fear. Khalid tried to regain control. He raised his voice, reminded her they were married, that his name was on accounts, that he had rights. Nana nodded. Calm. "My lawyers have already addressed that." She gestured slightly. Her PA placed documents on the table. Stamped, signed, filed. Khalid stared. The room tilted. His mother tried another tactic. Crying, begging, suddenly remembering respect. "Nana, we didn't mean it." Nana met her eyes and said, "You meant every word." That night, no one slept, because the truth was now undeniable. They had not been rich. They had been hosted, and the host had closed the door. The house changed overnight, not physically, emotionally. The laughter disappeared. The confidence evaporated. The voices became careful. People who once spoke without permission now whispered. Khalid's sisters woke up early that morning, not to shop, not to plan outings, to check their phones. They refreshed banking apps repeatedly. Nothing. No balance. No access. Just error messages. They tried to hide their panic, but panic has a smell, and it filled the house. The mother tried dignity first. She dressed carefully, sat upright. She spoke to Nana softly for the first time. "Nana, let us talk." Nana listened. She always listened. The woman apologized vaguely, not for the insults, not for the word barren, but for misunderstandings. Nana nodded, said nothing. That silence unsettled her more than shouting ever could. By afternoon, dignity was gone. The calls started coming in. Friends asking questions, bills overdue, invitations withdrawn. The family realized something horrifying. Their public image was collapsing. They were no longer connected. They were just exposed. Khalid tried anger again. He paced, raised his voice, accused Nana of cruelty. How could you do this to family? Family. The word tasted bitter. Nana looked at him and said calmly,
family doesn't humiliate you in your own house. That sentence landed heavy because it was true. By evening, desperation took over. The sisters cried openly. They begged. They promised to change. They promised respect. They promised silence. But promises sound hollow when they arrive only after consequences. Khaled finally knelt, not dramatically, clumsily, as if his body wasn't used to humility. He said her name, softly, repeated it. Nana didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't rush him. She waited. Because when a woman waits at this stage, she is not hoping, she is deciding. His mother joined him, knees on the floor, hand trembling. The same woman who once issued instructions now begged, "Forgive us." Nana breathed slowly. She stood, not angrily, gracefully, and said, "I forgave you many times, but
I
you
forgave you
didn't
many
notice."
times, but
That was the moment it hit them.
you didn't notice.
This wasn't revenge. This was closure. The house staff watched quietly, not with gossip, with understanding. Because they had seen the insults, heard the laughter, felt the disrespect, and now they were witnessing balance. That night, Nana slept peacefully for the first time in months because she had stopped explaining herself, stopped shrinking, stopped negotiating her dignity.
Let's be clear, this is not a discussion, this is information.
You are ending everything like this?
No, I ended it the day you stopped protecting me. When your family insulted me, you were quiet. When they spent what they didn't earn, you allowed it.
Morning came gently, too gently for what was about to happen. Sunlight filtered through the curtains of the Ikoyi house, the same house that once echoed with entitlement, now heavy with fear. Nana was already dressed, not in traditional wear, not in anything emotional. A tailored corporate dress, minimal jewelry, calm face, the look of a woman who had already crossed the bridge before anyone noticed she was walking. The dining table was set, not for breakfast, for closure. Her PA stood beside her. Lawyers joined via video call, documents neatly arranged. No chaos, no shouting, just order. Khaled entered last. He looked smaller, not physically, emotionally. The confidence was gone. The entitlement had evaporated. He sat carefully, like someone afraid of breaking something fragile, even though he had already broken everything that mattered. Nana spoke first. Her voice was steady.
Let's be clear,
Let's
this
be
is
clear.
not a discussion,
This
this
is
is an
not a discussion.
information.
This is information. She slid the documents forward. Divorce papers, asset separation, legal summaries, everything precise, everything final. Khalid's mother gasped. One of the sisters began to cry. Khalid stared, blank. He whispered, "You're ending everything like this?" Nana looked at him and said, "No. I ended it the day you stopped protecting me." Silence, the kind that rings. She continued, "When your family insulted me, you were quiet. When they called me barren, you laughed. When they spent what they didn't earn, you allowed it." Her voice did not shake. "I was never your enemy. You just mistook my kindness for permission, for audacity." Khalid tried to speak. She raised one finger, not aggressively, decisively. "I'm not angry. I'm uninterested." That word hit harder than any insult. The lawyer spoke next, explained timelines, explained exits, explained consequences. The family heard only one thing. They were leaving with nothing extra. No houses, no allowances, no safety net. Just what Khalid personally earned, which was very little. The mother collapsed into tears, not theatrical, broken. She said Nana's name over and over. Nana listened, then said softly, "I hope you find peace. But it won't be with my life. Now all of you should pack your things and get out of my house." Khalid finally signed. His hand shook. When it was done, Nana stood. She didn't look back. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. Because women like Nana don't need witnesses. They need freedom. Weeks later, the world had adjusted. Invitations stopped coming for Khalid's family. Phones went quiet. Friends disappeared. Reality arrived. Hard. Unfiltered. Khalid tried calling. Messages went unread. Emails bounced back. Because Nana had done the most powerful thing of all. She became unreachable. Nana moved on. New projects, new cities, new peace. Her name still carried weight, but now it carried boundaries. Some women don't scream when they're done. They organize. They don't fight for respect. They withdraw access. And when they leave, they don't take revenge. They take their power back. If this story moved you, if you've ever watched kindness be mistaken for weakness, if you believe dignity should never be negotiated, like this video. Follow this page for more stories where women reclaim their power quietly, because some lessons are too important to hear only once.